Hey TPT sellers, for the last 3 months, I've been diving into the secret developer manual used by Team TPT to run their search engine. And I've put together everything that I know about TPT SEO based on that manual in this free TPT SEO course. I'm posting it on YouTube. It's 100% free. Enjoy. My name's Mike Fuchigami. I'm the host of the SEOTpreneur YouTube community. This episode is for TPT tadpoles. So you've just started the game, you've had your first sale, you've had a couple of sales, you've started to figure out how to publish resources, but you don't quite feel like you're a hamster yet running on that content creation hamster wheel. So I'm going to explain 5 important TPT SEO tips that everyone should know, and this will help you increase sales. Obviously, if you're a TPT hamster or a TPT hawk and you're later on in the game, I bet you there's at least one piece of information in this video that you didn't know or that you disagree with. I'd love to hear your comments. Let's have a conversation about TPT SEO. And you can ask here in the YouTube video or in our Facebook group. I also put in a bonus tip for TPT sellers who have been here for a while. There's this one thing that I discovered that if you do, it will reboot your sales if you have a product that hasn't been doing well. So I'm going to go over 4 things. I'm going to talk about why this course is free. And even though it's free, there's incredible value in this course. Social psychologists know that if you price an object higher, people think there's more value just by raising the price. So of course, if you price your product lower, people think that there's less value. You might be thinking, yeah, this is a free course, there's nothing good in here. But it's the opposite. And I'll explain why this course is free. And then I'm going to go into these 5 TPT SEO tips that are based on 3 months of research in the TPT search algorithm. In part 3, I'm going to dive deep into the theory. We'll look at what the developer manual says about the algorithm, and I'll explain how I use that information to come up with the 5 TPT SEO tips. And then finally, at the end, I'm going to walk us through how to do keyword research to find higher volume, lower competition keywords completely free without having to pay for a third-party TPT SEO keyword tool. I'll show you how to get that information using your own browser. It just takes time and know-how. So why am I giving away this course for free? All right, hear me out here. Here is what I think is the typical TPT seller coach business model. You give away TPT seller tips and tricks for free. This could be on a YouTube channel like this. It could be on a podcast. Maybe you have a Facebook group. Maybe you're on Instagram, but you give away content for free. Because the good stuff, like that SEO course or that Canva course or that email marketing course, you put it together into some sort of premium course and you charge money for it. And then eventually you realize that the money's in a subscription model, so you create a membership. Did I get it right? Let me know in the comments. My question to you is, how do you know if you already know everything in that premium product? We know that there are going to be glowing testimonials about how there was information in here that changed your life, that changed the way you sell. It's a game changer. And that feedback is legit, but I don't know if that TPT seller knows what I know. And it's hard to know if we're at the same level of the game. And then maybe you have some testimonials from people who are at the top of their game and they're on the first page of TPT search. And then the question is, well, are the SEO tips that were relevant 5 years ago still relevant today? And you know from watching my Sunday series that we now use Algolia, but before Algolia, there were 2 other search engine softwares used. So here is my TPT seller coach business model. I give away free TPT seller tips and tricks like everyone else, and I do it on YouTube. And then the really goods that I should put together into a course and sell it for a lot of money, I give that away for free on YouTube. I have a membership. It's a paid membership. You have access to me, and it's basically my virtual office where I work every day. And it's kind of a neat group of people. So if you like my YouTube videos, you'd probably like hanging out with us. And the membership is only $10. Wait, what do you mean your membership's only $10? Well, how much do other people charge for their memberships? Okay, so this pro membership is my testing ground. It's where I get ideas for TPT SEO tools. It's where I develop solutions to the problems that I have on my TPT store and to the stores of other TPT sellers. And these tools I give away for free or in a paid model. But this idea comes from Alex Hormozi. He describes his business model in his book, $100 Million Offers. But essentially, he gives away all of the business tips to get your business to $1 million He gives that information away for free. And if you're able to use his tips to get to $1 million, then he has a company and he can work with you and become an equity share owner of your company and take you from $1 million to scale up to $10 million, because apparently that's a different skill set. But it's win-win, because by the time you get to $1 million company, you trust that the tips that Alex Hormozi has given for free, you trust that they work. And if you're able to use his tips to $1 million, then you're going to be able to execute the skills required to get to $10 million. So based on that model, my goal is to give away all of my TPT knowledge away for free, because I know that eventually you're going to need tools to take your TPT store to the next level. And so my business model is to sell high quality, affordable tools. The number one question I get is, what do I fix on my store to improve sales? And we can answer that with data tools. This is a brand new self-serve TPT data tool that we're developing on the pro side. And basically what I can tell from this is I have 100% of people at the start of my funnel, but only 21% of those people actually look at my preview. And of the people who look at the preview, only 10% of them end up buying. So if I can improve my preview so that maybe 40% of people look at the preview, then in theory, I've just widened the funnel and I'll also get more units sold. And so on the right-hand side, there are tips on what I need to do to solve that problem. The next question I get asked is, which keyword should I go after? So we have a keyword tool that we're developing on the pro side as well. You basically type in your search term and it pulls up whatever TPT auto suggests in the search bar, except the difference is it shows in brackets after the keyword how many people are searching for that term in the last 30 days. So then I take that keyword and I click on the next tab, and the spreadsheet quickly pulls up for me how many competitors there are and how many reviews there are on the first page, so I can decide if this is a keyword that I want to go. I'm going to talk about this more at the end of the video, and I'll also talk about how you can do the exact same thing by paper for free. And then the last tool that I know we're going to need is to help us build a website, because a website gives us credibility. It's our home base on the internet. It's where we build expertise and show our experience and develop authority and build trust. So I have a hosting company, and I've taken everything I know from doing digital marketing and websites for small business, brick and mortar businesses, and I've applied that to TPT land. So that's my business model. And the information in this course, people are going to tell me that I should have made a paid course and charged money for it. But I'm going to give these 5 TPT SEO tips away for free instead of charging money for the good stuff, so then you can save that money and spend it somewhere else in your business. Maybe you're at the point where you need Canva templates, or maybe you're buying clip art, or you're buying fonts, or maybe you're a TPT hawk watching this, and the money that you save on this course, you outsource something that you don't want to do anymore, like product covers. Or maybe you buy coffee or treat yourself because you're always spending money on the business and you never spend money on yourself. Or maybe you realize that you need keyword tools, or the money that you save because I published this video for free, maybe that's money that you need to spend on data tools. Or maybe you need to hire a cleaner. At TPT Forward 2023, one of the keynote speakers talked about how that was the best thing once their business was large enough to free them up to work on their business. So what will you do with the money that you save? Because I'm giving away this premium content for free. And if you're a fan of the channel, now is the time to hop into the SEOTpreneur Pro pool, because you get access to the keyword tool I just showed you. You get access to the data tool I just showed you. And if you sign up now, you get a free 30-minute onboarding call or email with me where we can talk about your store, or I can walk you through some of the tools that I have. And you get all of that for 10 bucks. Here are 5 TPT SEO tips that I put together after 3 months of deep into Algolia, which is the search engine that TPT uses to power their search engine. I'm going to go through the tips, and then in the next part, I'll explain the theory. So TPT SEO tip number 1 is to find a balance between optimizing for SEO and optimizing for sales psychology. The goal of SEO is to get to the top of page 1. We do that through relevance, business metrics, and product attractiveness. Relevance means how relevant is your product to what the teacher is searching for, and it's covered by the first 7 criteria for Algolia, which I'll go over later in this video. Business metrics is covered by Algolia criteria number 8, and then attractiveness is covered by the Algolia re-ranking rules. And again, I'll go over the theory later on in this video. Essentially what this means is TPT SEO is about keywords, sales, reviews, wishlisted, getting added to wish lists, and getting 20 clicks or 2 conversion events in the last 30 days for the search term that you are trying to rank for. And I say that we have to balance between optimizing for SEO and sales psychology, because if you just optimize for SEO and you get onto the first page, you might get knocked down because of that Algolia re-ranking. And so you need the sales psychology aspect to get 20 people to click on your search result or to get 2 conversion events. Otherwise, you'll get re-ranked and you might get pushed down. And that push down might be to rank number 20 on page 1, or you might get pushed down to rank number 100, which is all the way at the start of page 5. TPT SEO tip number 2 is that if you're just starting out, it's easier to get to page 1 purely on relevance, so keywords, if the search term that you're going after has less than 3,000 competitors. And I know you're thinking, well, every time I type in a search word, there are 10,000 or 100,000 resources. So basically, just keep on adding words to the phrase to narrow down the competition. If I go to Teachers Pay Teachers, if I type morning work, there are 210,000 results. That's a lot. So I'm going to add some keywords. Grade 3. Now there's only 24,000 results. Let's see if I can get that down to 3,000 by adding ELA. So 3rd grade ELA morning work, I'm going to click on that. Now I'm down to 18,000 results. Okay, what if I change the grade to 3rd grade? Now I'm down to 16,000 results. What if I go after 3rd grade and if I spell it out? 15,000 results. All right, I gotta get down to 3,000 results. What if I add fun? Fun 3rd grade ELA morning work, I'm down to 5,000 results. What if I add the subject English language arts? I'm down to 4,400 results. What if I try lesson? Fun morning work 3rd grade ELA lesson, 850 results. What if I try fun morning work ELA 3rd grade, 4,500 results? I mean, at this point, I might run with it. What if I add activity? I'm now at 4,000 results. What if I add activity? 3,500 results. This is killing me. What if I try math? Fun morning work math. Let's try math. 780 results. Okay, maybe math is the way to go. Fun morning work math 3rd grade. 3rd grade math morning work is 3,100. Okay, the point of this is just to show you that by playing with the keywords, by adding more keywords, by looking for the kinds of words that are showing up in the auto-suggest, and then adding that, I'm trying to construct a longer tail keyword. But then, of course, the question is there a lot of search volume for that? And we'll talk about that later on with the keyword. TPT SEO tip number 3 is to focus on the title. If we go by the default setting in the Algolia search engine, then we should put the exact keyword search phrase at the start of the title, and then fill the entire title with many keyword phrases. But the primary keyword that you're going after, based on your keyword strategy, that should be at the very front of your title. And if you're a TPT tadpole, and if you're starting out the TPT game, then that vertical line that you see all the other TPT products use, it's called a pipe symbol or a vertical bar. For me, this key is above the enter key. There's the backslash, and then above it is the pipe. And if I hold shift backslash, then I get that pipe key. Another way to get the character is just go to TPT search. I was going to say chances are one of these will have it, but none of these do. The products in the ads do. So here, I'm going to click on this one, and there's the pipe key. If I just copy that, Control C, then I can use that in a product title. TPT SEO tip number 4 is to check synonyms. Notice that 3rd grade, 3RD, 3rd grade, and 3rd grade, THIRD, are the same from a search perspective. So you literally have to go into TPT search, type it into the search bar, and see what gets highlighted in purple. So if I type 3rd grade here and hit enter and search for 3rd grade, I can see here a 3rd grade 3RD grade is highlighted in purple because that's the search term. And then in Google Chrome, I can go Control F to open up the search bar. And I'm going to search on this page, THIRD. So it's highlighted and Google Chrome is highlighting it, and I want to get rid of that highlight to see if TPT is highlighting it. So I click on this X to close the search bar in Google Chrome, and I can see here, oh look, 3rd grade is highlighted in purple, even though I searched for the number 3RD grade. So this means from an SEO perspective, 3RD grade, 3rd grade, with the number, and THIRD, 3rd grade, spelled out, they are exactly the same to the search engine. And then I have to check the opposite direction. If I type 3rd grade and I spell out 3rd and I hit enter, Here I am searching for third grade. And if I scroll down, look, right away, I can see here's an example of third grade with a number, and it's highlighted in purple. So I know that the search engine considers typing out third grade the same as the number third grade. That's not always the case. So actually type in the words into TPT search to see what gets highlighted in purple, and understand that synonyms in the search engine change over time. Make sure you check synonyms going in both directions, because searching for keyword A might highlight keyword B, but that doesn't mean that searching for keyword B will highlight keyword A. TPT SEO tip number 5 is to do keyword research. What does that mean? It means you're trying to find higher volume keywords with lower competition. So there's a way that all TPT sellers can see exactly how many people have searched for a key phrase in the last 30 days on TPT. So we can look up the exact search volume. And by lower competition, yes, that means the number of competitors, but we also look at the number of reviews that maybe the first resource has, or maybe the bottom resource has, because reviews are a proxy for sales. If you have more reviews, you've probably got more sales. But if you only have a couple of reviews, you might not have a lot of sales. And since sales are probably a business metric that TPT search uses, it's easier to rank on a page if there are fewer reviews. So I call these higher volume, lower competition keywords niche unicorn. They're mythical, they're hard to find. But what's kind of cool is that a niche unicorn changes based on how many reviews you have on your product. So my keyword strategy is going to be different from your keyword strategy if you're trying to optimize a product that has 100 sales and my product is brand new. We're going to go after different keywords. Here is a bonus TPT SEO tip. And this is for the sellers who have been around here for a while. If your best sellers don't sell well anymore, then update the resource if you haven't updated it in a while. There's probably a decay penalty that is penalizing your product in search. There's probably a secret SEO score that is assigned to all TPT products. That's based on the secret sauce business metrics. It's a mix of added to wish lists, units sold, number of reviews maybe, who knows? And let's say your resource has an SEO rank of 100, and that's enough to put it at the top of page 1 for your search term. But you haven't updated your resource in a year, so maybe there's a decay penalty of 50%. So now your SEO rank score is 50 instead of 100. It should be 100 based on your business metrics, but because you haven't updated, you now have this penalty that's dragging your score down to 50. And maybe now instead of being on page 1, you're on page 2. And that makes a huge difference in sales. So I talked about this in one of my other videos, and a TPT seller left a comment. Wow, this decay penalty is mind-blowing. And it makes sense. No wonder my top sellers that I haven't updated have dropped so much. This 10-minute free video is way more valuable than the $500 TPT SEO course I wasted time and money on. Thank you so much for your info. So if you want to watch that video, I'll put a link in the description. It was on Thursday, April 11th, and it was asking the question, does updating the PDF impact TPT rank? Have you learned something new? If you have, can you please like the video because it sends a signal to the YouTube algorithm to share this video with other TPT sellers who haven't found our community yet. So please hit that like button. It helps us to grow and it encourages me to make more free content like this for you so you don't have to spend $500 on a TPT SEO course. Let's look at the theory behind those 5 TPT SEO tips. And did you notice how I didn't talk about the snippet or your product description at all? That's going to be controversial. I already can hear a bunch of people saying, Mike, you've got to have the keyword in the introduction snippet. And I agree, that's important from a sales psychology perspective. But if we go through the theory and what the manual says, I'll talk about why the title is way more important than the product description. TPT SEO tip number 1 was about finding balance between SEO and sales psychology. What do I mean by that? Okay, bear with me for a moment. TPT is a marketplace, but it's also a search engine. And there's a lot of TPT SEO advice out there, and it's good advice, but it's not actually TPT SEO. We have a teacher, and they're trying to find your TPT product page. How do they get there? One way is the teacher goes directly to your product page. And that's because they've used your product before, or maybe they got the link from a friend, or there's word of mouth. Maybe it's a freebie and you're upselling in the freebie to this bundle. So they click on the link and they go directly to your product page. Another way that a teacher can get to your product page is through TPT. They go to TPT, they search up a phrase in TPT search, your product shows up in the listing, they click on it and they land on your product page. Or maybe you're running paid ads to your TPT product. And if you scroll back the video, you'll see that I was in the #1 spot for English language arts for 3rd grade, even though my resources are about middle school. So the paid ads are not a perfect system, but it's a way that we can get traffic to your product. And then there are other ways on the TPT platform. For example, if a teacher is following you and you publish a new resource, if the teacher has email notifications turned on, they'll get a link to your product. Another way a teacher can get to your product page is through Google or any other search engine, but Google is the market leader. And so a teacher might search up the topic, your product page shows up in the Google search listing, so they click on it and they get to your product page. Or maybe you're running paid ads on Google search. Then we have social media. We have organic social media. So maybe you're posting on your Facebook page or you're pinning something on your Pinterest page or you're posting on Instagram. But organic social media could also be you going into a Facebook group, and in the ones where you're allowed to promote, you link to a freebie, for example. Or maybe you're running paid Facebook ads. I recently spent $2,000 on Facebook ads. Check out that video up there to find out what I learned. Maybe you have an email list and you're sending traffic directly and the teacher is subscribed to your email list and they click a link in the email to go to your TPT product page. Or maybe the teacher goes to a website and then from that website, they click a link and they go to your product page. It might be your website. It could be someone else's website, or it could be through artificial intelligence. And I put AI here, but really Search GPT and Search AI should be its own. So your teacher might find your product page one day through Chat GPT or other AI programs. So a question I get asked is, how do I do TPT SEO? And really what they're asking is, how do I improve my product? But they phrase it as, how do I do TPT SEO? Because they've heard that keywords are important and TPT SEO is important. But then oftentimes the feedback that is given is great feedback, but it's general information about how to improve a TPT product. And if you do a good job of explaining the value of the resource compared to the price of the product, then it's a no-brainer to get the product. So if you have awesome covers and you have a great preview and you've got an awesome snippet that includes keywords and talks about what you get and how it solves their problem, and you build trust and you have social proof, all of that can help improve the product. And sometimes that answer might be about TPT SEO. But TPT SEO is only about search, and it's different from Google SEO. Both are about optimizing for search engines. There's a lot that happens in Google SEO that doesn't directly transfer over to TPT SEO, and I'll talk more about that in a second. If we're looking to improve our product, we might be talking about TPT marketing, or running ads, or building a brand. So although the question that you want to ask is, how do I do TPT SEO? I wonder if the real question that's being asked is, how do I improve my product? And if the question is, how do I improve my product? You might not need to work on TPT SEO, even though everyone else is talking about TPT SEO. The problem might be that you have a leaky bucket. What do I mean by that? I'm just going to go to the self-serve data tool. I'm going to sort my products by page views. And I can see here, I have this no prep chat GPT resource that has 1.7 thousand page views. So I'm going to click on that. Here's an example of a product with a leaky bucket. I have a sales funnel. At the top of this bucket are page views. That's 100% of the page views. But as I carry it through this process, so I have 100% of people viewing this resource, but only 1% of people actually buy it. And I can see I only have two, because about a week ago, I added my preview, because until a week ago, I didn't really realize that I forgot to put a product preview on this. So I don't need to improve the SEO. And if I want to increase my page views, then yeah. But my problem is my preview. I think I updated it at the start, September 1st. Okay. Sometime at the start of September, a couple of days ago, I updated my resource because I saw this screen and I knew the problem was I didn't have a good enough preview. or I didn't have a preview. That was the case, I didn't have the preview. So since then, I've added a preview, but in the last week, in the last 7 days, only 3% of people have looked at the preview. I still have a leaky bucket. I probably need to improve the thumbnails in my product description, so I increase the perceived value of the resource, and then people are like, yeah, okay, I want to check it out, and then they'll check out the product preview. Or maybe I need to literally say, hey, check out the preview to see what you get. Tpt Seo isn't going to help this resource yet, because even if I get a bunch more people viewing the product, I have this leaky bucket. I won't be able to carry the water. If I had a 10% conversion rate, I would have had 7 sales. So you might not need Tpt Seo. You might need to fix other parts of your bucket. But if the goal is to get more page views, then yeah, there are 2 parts to Tpt search. The first obstacle is you have to get seen. So you have to show up on the search listing. And then the second obstacle is that your product listing has to get clicked. The first problem is convincing the formula that you should be at the top of Tpt search. The second problem is convincing humans to click on your resource to find out more. When you convince a formula to show your product listing in a search result, we call that search engine optimization. When you convince a human to click on your product listing, that involves sales psychology. So if we improve our covers, if we have mock-ups of our resource, photos of pictures of the handouts or worksheets, you include the crayons and the scissors and the glue, and the teacher can see themselves using it, and that appeals to your ideal customer avatar, and you're using large font that's easy to read. Or maybe in your snippet, you talk about the features and the benefits, or maybe the pain point that your product solves. This is all super important because it taps into the sales psychology and you're showing the value of your resource. But that's not SEO. Search engine optimization is about convincing that formula. How do we convince a formula to show us at the top of page 1? We have to show that we are relevant to the search, and we do that with keywords. And then the question is, which keywords do we have? So the search engine really just looks at your product and figures out which keywords you have and where are those keywords placed. And that is 7 out of the 8 Algolia steps. That's the majority of Tpt search. And this is different from Google search because Google search doesn't just look at keywords, it's also looking at backlinks. So Google crawls the entire internet and it can see the relationship between all the pages on the internet. And Google search is essentially a popularity contest. So if you have a bunch of popular, well-respected websites pointing to another website, chances are the thing they're talking about is legit. It's a good source. It's trusted. Other people will probably trust it too. Google SEO includes technical SEO. This is about the speed of the website. It's about the way the website's coded. It's about the header tags that are used. We can't control any of that on Tpt. Tpt does it for us. Google search is more sophisticated than Algolia because it understands natural language. Algolia and Tpt search are just looking to see which words are in the title or which words are in the product description. Where Google understands the relationships of words and it understands what your web page is about. It also understands the user's intent when they search on Google. And not only do they understand intent, so many websites use Google Analytics. And combined with Google search, Google can see how you are interacting with the website. It can see how long you're on the page for. It can see how many clicks you have. It can see where you scroll, what you click on, where you bounce off. And because Google search has so much more than Tpt search, that's why Google recommends their EEAT principle. If you want to do well in Google search, you need to have expertise, experience, authority, and trust. Google can measure that based on how long you're interacting with the web page. Because if you really believe and have bought into that web page and you feel that they have expertise and they're giving you content that you're not getting in other places, then you're going to stay on that web page longer. EEAT is important for Tpt sellers from a sales psychology perspective, but it doesn't impact Tpt search. The first 7 rules of Algolia is about relevance. And then the last rule, rule number 8, is about business metrics, where we're talking about sales, reviews, how many times it's been added to wish lists. So if we want to get on page 1, we first have to convince the formula so that we get seen, but then we have to convince the humans to click on our listing. And we need to find that balance because later on, I'm going to talk about that re-ranking that TPT does, which is basically if the humans aren't clicking on your resource when they see it in a TPT search listing, then you start to lose rank, even though you convince the formula that you should be at the top. So we can't rank on number one unless we have both parts of the equation. But if you're just starting, you're a TPT tadpole, you're a TPT hamster, the biggest part of the game is convincing the formula that you deserve to be on page one. And the way we do that is we show the formula that we are relevant to the search term that the teacher typed in. In TPT SEO tip number 2, I gave the magic number of 3,000 resources. It's easier to get on page one using just keyword relevance if you're going after a keyword that only has 3,000 resources. Let me explain where this number comes from. TPT Search uses Algolia, which is a search engine that uses this tie-breaking algorithm to figure out where you should rank. They have 8 rules, but only 7 of them apply to TPT land right now. So there are 7 tiebreakers. If you start with 3,072 resources, then when you hit the first Algolia criteria, you're either going to be in the first group or the second group. And just for this thought experiment, I'm saying that each group is 50-50. So you want to be in that first group, which is in the green. And then you go on to the next criteria, which you'll see is rule number 2, which doesn't apply to us. And then you go into the third criteria. And again, you're either going to be in the first group or the second group for that tie-breaking question. And you want to be in the first group. And if you are in the first group for all of these criteria, then eventually you will be in the top 24 resources, and TPT Search only has 24 results per page. So we're going to go through the Algolia manual, and for the most part, we're going to assume that they're using default settings. In the developer manual, on the ranking page, it says you can change the order of the default criteria, but you shouldn't. The out-of-the-box ranking order works for most uses. So as we go through the manual, as we talk about the 8 tie-breaking rules, I'll talk about the default setting, and we'll try to understand how the TPT search algorithm works so that we end up being in the first group instead of the second group. When you type in a search phrase in TPT, the first question that the TPT search algorithm asks is it looks to see if there are any typos. And by typo, they're just basically looking to see how many characters are different between the search term and a word that you have in your product title. I'm going to go through the examples in the SEO secret video series. I'll put links to the specific videos in the description. If you're trying to rank for a resource about diphthongs, the correct way of spelling diphthongs is with PH, but it's often spelled missing that H. And this is significant because if you don't spell this word the way that it's searched on TPT, then you won't be in that first group. So if you watch SEO secret video number 1, we talk about typos. And if someone searches on TPT for diphthongs spelled with PH, then if you have that in your product title, you will show up in the first group. And if you spell diphthongs the other way, you show up in the second group. On the other hand, if a teacher types in diphthongs, spelled D-I-P-T-H-O-N-G-S, well, if you have that spelling in your product title, you'll show up in the first group. And if you spelled it the correct way, but a typo from the TPT search algorithm's perspective, then you show up in the second group. Let's say there are 3,072 resources that you're competing with. If you spell it the same way as the person typed it in TPT search, you show up in that first group and you go on to the next tie-breaking question. And now you're only competing with 1,536 resources. The second Algolia question is geolocation. So if you watch the second secret video, you know that I suspect this is what TPT did during their personalization. This is what I think TPT was exploring with their personalized search back in the day. But the search results would be based on the teacher searching and your store location. So if this geolocation rule was in play, you would have to be closer to the store. Your store would have to be closer to the teacher searching for you to show up in the search results. So maybe if there are different buckets or groups, maybe the first group are all the stores within 100 kilometers. Maybe the second group is all the stores between 100 and 1,000 kilometers. And maybe the third group are stores that are over 1,000 kilometers away. But we know that geolocation is not in effect because we can test this with a VPN. If you change your location on your computer to a different country, when you search, you get the same results. By the way, if you take a TPT SEO course and they recommend that you use incognito mode to do your keyword research or to check your position, then you know that is outdated information, because that was true a couple of years ago during personalized search, but it's not true today. Now, having said that, TPT is constantly changing, and maybe one day it will become true again. So the bottom line is you have to check and test assumptions. But in this case, I don't think geolocation is an issue. So we are all tied, which means we go on to the next question, and I'm still tied with 1,536 resources. So the third Algolia criteria is about words. By default, Algolia only matches results that contain all the query's words. I don't think this is the case. I think TPT search will show results even if you're missing a couple of words. So then what happens if you're missing a couple of words? Well, the Algolia manual tells us the words criterion ranks the TPT products by the number of matching words typed by the teacher, not the number of times the word appears in the record. For example, if a user typed 2 words, the maximum score for this criterion is 2, even if a record contains this word 10 times. So you can have a keyword phrase 10 times in your product description, and that doesn't impact anything. The keyword density is not an issue. So if you have TPT SEO advice that is suggesting a keyword density, that's probably outdated information, because we see from the manual right here that the maximum score you can have is based on the number of words in the search. But if a teacher is looking for grade 3 math review, the best score you can have for the words criterion is 4, because you have all 4 words. If a teacher is looking for morning work, your word score is either 2 because you have morning and work, or it's 1, you have morning or work. If you have none of those words, then you're definitely not relevant. So I'm competing with 1,536 resources. The Algolia words criterion basically says, do I have all of the words that the teacher is searching for in my product title? If I do, I'm going to be in the first group. If I don't, I'm going to be in a different group. In this case, if I have the exact search term in my product title, I will be in the first group. And now I'm competing with 768 resources. Algolia rule number 4 is about filters. And in SEO secret video number 4, I asked the question, do categories matter in TPT SEO? And the answer is absolutely. Way more than we think it does. Because if you're not in the category, then you won't show up in that category search, which is a very obvious thing to say. But teachers are probably searching by category more than we think they are. And that's because TPT sets the category the moment you click on the top menu. So I'm on TPT. If I want ELA resources, and I click 8th grade ELA, so I click the menu bar. And it says here it's showing results for 8th grade English language arts resources, which is very interesting. That's not the search term at all. There's no search term up here. But if you look carefully, it set the filters. So the category is set for 8th grade, and the subject is set for English language arts. And you might think that's not a big deal. But now, if I type back to school, it remembers the filters. So it's showing me back to school for 8th grade English language arts, even though I didn't manually type in those categories. So right now I'm competing with 768 other resources. And the question is, am I in the categories that the teacher is searching for? And the answer is either you are or you're not. I have the category set, so now I'm competing with 384 resources. So now I go to the next tie-breaking rule, which is rule number 5, proximity. And the manual tells us for a query, so a teacher searching, for a query with 2 or more words, proximity calculates how near those words are to each other in the matching record. By matching record, they mean TPT product. This criterion prioritizes records that have words closer to each other. So if the proximity rule is turned on, which by default it is, it means that you want to have the search phrase close together. The proximity criterion's value is the sum of the proximity of all pairs of words that are next to each other in the query. I'm going to go through an example because we have to mix and match keyword phrases in our title. And if proximity is the rule, like it is by default, then we want to prioritize a keyword strategy, and whatever is the keyword that we are going after, that gets the priority of being written in the exact order that people are searching it for. So in this example, if I search up back to school math activities, the algorithm looks at how close the words back and to are. And then it looks at your title and it looks to see where's the word to and where's the word school. And then it looks for the word school and looks for the word math, and it counts how many words apart it is. And then it does the same thing with math and activities. So if I have the title Fun Math and Activities, there's the pipe, back to school, pipe, 3rd, 4th grade. That's one example. In another product title, I have first day of school activities, type, math, vertical bar, back to basics. Side note, notice how they wrote third, fourth grade instead of grade 3 to 4. They're trying to optimize for third grade and fourth grade here. We can't optimize for everything. Your primary keyword should be the direct match at the beginning of the title, as long as it doesn't look unnatural. Because if it looks unnatural, that affects the sales psychology side, right? But then the sales psychology doesn't matter if you're not on page 1, because your product listing won't be seen. See how it's complicated. TPT SEO is an art and a science. So here's how the algorithm will chop up your product title. It looks for back and to. Okay, well, those are one word apart. It looks for to and school. Okay, that's also one word apart. It looks for school and math. That's 4 words apart. It looks for math and activities. That's 1 word apart. So the proximity score for this product title is 7. If we look at the other title, if we look for back to, that's 1 word apart. If we look for the pair to and school, that's 4 words apart. If we look for the space between school and math, that's 2 words apart. And then if we look for math and activities, that's 1 word apart. So the proximity score for this would be 8. The lower score is better. And so basically in this tie-breaking rule, if I'm competing with 384 resources, but I have a lower proximity score because I have the exact search phrase in my product title, then I'm in the first group and now I'm competing with 192 resources. In TPT SEO tip number 3, I talked about the title and how it was important to put the exact keyword search phrase at the start. So now I'm going to talk about why the title is the all-important thing in TPT SEO. So Algolia criteria number 6 is called attribute. This criterion only considers searchable attributes. Attributes at the top of this searchable attributes list rank higher than lower ones. The manual goes on to say that the order of matches within the attribute itself is also important. By default, records with matched words closer to the beginning of a given attribute rank higher. An attribute is basically anywhere on your product editor page where you have to type in information like the title of your product or the product description. If you watch TPT SEO secret video number 6, you know that's probably not the file names. They probably are creating an introduction snippet. Well, they're definitely pulling up an introduction snippet because we see that on the product listing. And I'm going to guess that the searchable attributes are the title, the intro snippet, the description, and reviews, as well as custom categories maybe. I know from experiments that if I take the keyword out of the title, I drop rank, even if the keyword is in the product description and the snippet. So the title is everything. This is about search engine optimization. So we do what's best. So if we're trying to rank on page 1, then the keyword has to be in the title. This is actually brilliant on TPT's part because the title only allows you to have 80 characters. So you are limited in which keywords you can try to optimize your product for. So if I'm competing with 192 resources, and I have my keyword phrase at the very beginning of the title, then I will be in the first tie-breaking group. And so now I'm only competing with 96 resources. And I go on to the next tie-breaking rule, which is called exact. The exact criterion is a counter. If an exact match occurs in an attribute, the count is increased by 1. The higher the count, the higher the record is ranked. And then the manual goes on to say that the exact words can be in different spots. It can be the title, it can be the description. If the query contains 2 words that match exactly in the same attribute, like the title, that's 2 points, 1 for each match. If the first word matches in one attribute, like the title, and the second in another attribute, like the description, that's also 2 points. So keyword density does not matter for this per record. So once per TPT product. If the same word has 10 exact matches in a record, whether in the same attribute or not, that query word still gets only 1 point. This means exact is always a number between 0 and the number of words in the query. So you can use the same word over and over and over again in your product description, and it only gets counted once in your entire TPT product. I don't think this was always the case. I think when TPT was first starting, it used MySQL as the database search engine. And I bet you at the beginning, it was based on keyword density. How often does that keyword phrase come up? But search has changed a lot over time. You don't have to think about keyword density at all. You just have to use the keyword in the product title. In TPT tip number 4, I talked about synonyms. And I said, don't assume that third grade and third grade are the same, even though when I read it, it's the same. You know what I mean. They talk about this in the manual. Synonym matching and plural/singular matching are considered exact. Thus, a word is considered an exact match if its synonym exactly matches a query. Here's a fun example. Let's say I'm trying to rank for science activities, plural. And the question is, are activities plural and activities singular considered the same word? And the answer is we have to search on TPT and see what TPT highlights. So here are the instructions again. I'm going to use Control F in the browser so that I can quickly find the word that I'm searching for. And then I'm looking to see if TPT highlights it in purple. So I'm going to do that for activity singular, and then I'm going to do that with activities plural. I'm going to search for the phrase activity singular. I can see 6.7 million results for activity. I'm going to change it from grid mode to the list mode for resources. I'm going to go Control F, and I'm going to search up activities. Let's see if we can find one in the title. There we go. Here it is in the title. I'm going to close this Control F search bar, and I typed in activity. Activity is highlighted in purple, but activities is not. And I find it so interesting that this resource is showing up here, even though it doesn't have activity at the top here. And I wonder if it's there because of dynamic re-ranking. Impressive. Getting to know you activities, collaborative puzzle all about me activities. This is odd because it's showing up here. Here's another example about all about me activities, plural. Maybe it has enough points because it's in the title, it's in the description. Wow, that's crazy. We're searching for activity. Wow, see, this is so interesting. This one doesn't even have activity. Does it have it in the snippet somewhere? I'm just going to triple click this to copy it, Control C. Here's what the snippet looks like from the algorithm's perspective. T, does it even have activity? No, it doesn't. Oh no, it has activity there. Yeah, so it has it in the snippet, but it's not in the title. Wow, that's so interesting. All about me activity should be beating it. Oh man, this is fascinating. Because there's 6 million, all about activity, it's one word. Activities is not a synonym, right? It's not highlighted there. How is this even possible? I don't have any filters. Wow, I just find this crazy. But it does. Why does it rank so high? Oh, I'm going to have to think about this. Oh, that's a puzzle. Even though you can think that you know the system, then something will come up and well, why does that happen? It shouldn't, because I'm searching up one single phrase activity. This is a single word search term. There's 6.7 million results. There's going to be a lot of resources that have activity in its title. And yet getting to know you activities shows up here, even though it's just in here. But these are also resources that have a ridiculous amount of sales, and we don't know some of the other metrics that are behind it. We don't know what rules there are. Wow, that's crazy. There are always, I don't know, exceptions to the rule. But okay, let's go on with this lesson. The point here is that when I search for activity, activities plural is not highlighted in purple. So it shouldn't be considered. Yeah, what do you think? It shouldn't, activities, it's not highlighted in purple, so it shouldn't be considered by the search algorithm. All right, I'm going to look up activities plural, and I can see here activity is not highlighted, but see up here, the first result doesn't have activities. How are you even up here? I'm going to triple click this. So if I go triple click, 1, 2, 3 click, it selects the entire field. And then I'm going to go Control C to copy it because the snippet is more than what you can see visibly. So what I'm looking for are activities, plural. This all about me writing an art activity, singular. Yeah, it's not. Okay, my mind is blown here because I'm searching up activities and the first result doesn't have that exact phrase at all. Landed in the top 100 for the re-ranking rule to kick in. Activities, this one, activities is highlighted in purple here. Activity is not highlighted. If activity was, now I have to figure out maybe activity and activities are synonyms in the system, but maybe something is hard-coded. And so maybe we're not able to see that activity and activities are actually synonyms. That's the only thing that I can think of right now. Whoa, crazy. Okay. Oh, my brain hurts. Where I wanted to go with this, back in July 21st, did have the highlight. as well. If I search up science activities, I can see activities is highlighted in purple, but I'm looking to see if activity singular is highlighted. And here I can see activity singular is highlighted. So that tells me if I look for the plural version of the word activities, I get the singular. Well, let's say I search up the singular version, activity. In this first result, I can see activities plural is highlighted here. So that tells me that the TPT search algorithm automatically considers activities plural and activities singular to be the same word. Okay, so my brain is melting here. In July 2024, activity highlights activities plural and activities plural highlighted activity. Today, September 8th, it did not highlight it. Oh, I'm going to have to think about this. I think even though it's not highlighting, it's still treating it like a synonym. And so now I'm going to have to dig into the manual to find out why. Let's look at how the exact criterion would work comparing synonyms and non-synonyms. If an activity are actually synonyms, like they were on July 21st and they were both highlighted, and someone searched up science activities in TPT search, and there were 4 products. One said science activity, one said science activity, plural, one said science experiment, one said science experiments. You and I know that these are very similar things. But if we look at it from the search algorithm perspective, and if we look at the exact score, well, science is in the search term, and these all have science in them, so they all get +1. And then we look at the second word, which is activities plural, and the algorithm would say that activities singular and activities plural are synonyms, so they're exact matches, so they would both get +1. So then the exact score would have science activity and science activities as 2, and science experiment and science experiments as 1, and they would get sorted differently. They would be in different buckets. So in this case, science activity and science activities would be tied, and then they would go on to the next tie-breaking rule. Today is September 8th, and activities did not highlight activity. Synonyms. Then if we look at the exact score again, well, the teacher wrote science activities in the search bar. Science is in all of these resources, so they all get +1, and activities is only in one of these resources, so that one would get +1. The exact score is different if activity is not seen as a synonym of activities. So these two products are no longer tied. And if something changes and is no longer a synonym, then I should be in the first tie-breaking group, and now I'm competing with 48 resources. In TPT SEO tip number 6, I talked about how if bestsellers are no longer selling well, it might be time to update the resource because there's probably a decay penalty that is dragging down your resource. We're going to look at the last custom rule for TPT, and the manual tells us that custom ranking gives TPT direct control and is often the deciding factor on which records appear in the first set of results. And then it goes on to say that typical custom ranking attributes include things like number of sales, number of page views, number of likes, ratings. Any Boolean or numeric attributes work well with custom ranking. Boolean variables are basically yes or no. For example, did this resource sell in the last month? Yes or no. If the answer is yes, you're in the first group. If the answer is no, you're in the second group. Did this resource sell within the last week? Yes or no. If you're yes, you're in the first group. If you're no, you're in the second group. So the tie-breaking stuff still applies here. Did this resource sell today? Yes or no. And I'm not making this up. Sold last month and sold past week are examples of internal popularity metrics that Algolia gives in their developer manual. Numeric variables are things like 1, 2, 3.5, 3.1. So this could be the amount of earnings. It could be the number of reviews or your average review rating, but it could also be something called sales rank. And we know this is an example from Algolia, but sales rank is probably a secret TPT formula that they use to sort the products. The manual's custom ranking attributes, the behavior is the same as other criteria. A criterion is only used if there's a tie between all the previous criteria. So we have the first 7 ranking criteria, and then they can create as many custom ranking rules as they want. So in this example from the Algolia manual, the custom ranking is it featured, yes or no. If it's a featured resource, it shows up in the first group. If it's not a featured resource, it shows up in the second group. But what if it, instead of featured, what if it was last updated? It was last updated a day ago, 30 days ago, 365 days ago. And this is sorted by ascending. And this is sorted by by ascending. This is a way that TPT could implement a decay factor. So if you haven't updated in the last 365 days, then you get pushed back to a lower group. And on those really popular keywords with a lot of competition, getting pushed back into a lower group might mean the difference between page 1 and page 4. And that could be a significant drop in sales. Or what if instead of looking at the last updated time, it looked at the last sale? Is it 1 day? Is it more than 7 days? Is it more than 30 days since your last sale? And we sort those resources into different buckets. This is how they could implement a store halo effect, where if you make a sale on your store, anywhere in your store, all of your TPT resources get a boost. Or more accurately, if your store doesn't do well, then you get a penalty because you get moved down a little bit in the tie-breaking formula. What's important is the very last ranking rule. And in this case, it's number of likes, because you want something at the very end that's not going to be putting things into groups. So basically you want to sort it. In this case, it's sorting it based on the number from the most to the least like. But the manual also talks about something called a score, or it could be a popularity, or it could be sales rank. And so that last number, I think, is the TPT secret sauce. And it has some sort of formula where it's taking the earnings and the number of page views. And if you want to learn more about this secret formula or try to play and figure out what the secret formula is, check out my TPT seller tip number 15, which is free on my team. But basically, I think a formula like that is the last ranking and sorting rule for TPT search. So in this case, if I'm competing with 48 resources and I'm in the first bucket, and maybe it's have I sold the resource in the last 30 days, then now I'm only competing with 24 resources. And that puts me on page 1. TPT SEO will only take you so far, because the moment you get to the top 20 resources, or it could be the top 100 resources, but the moment you get to page 1, there's something called dynamic re-ranking. And in the Algolia Artificial Intelligence Manual section, it says dynamic re-ranking kicks in after the engine has computed your results' textual relevance and has applied your custom ranking. So after it's done rules 1 to 7, which is textual relevance, keyword relevance, and it's done rule number 8, which is custom ranking, then dynamic re-ranking happens. This is based on product attractiveness, which is based on sales psychology. The Algolia AI manual tells us that each TPT product has an attractiveness score per search term. And the attractiveness score is the number of conversion events that the TPT product received last month compared to other TPT products, and it explains why re-ranking boosts one record over another. The manual goes on to clarify that for a TPT product to be promoted for a given search term, this record must have received either 20 click events, so it shows up in the search listing for that search term, and 20 people have clicked it in the last 30 days, or 2 conversion events, and this is search specific. If someone searches up, for example, first day of school activities, and they click on this resource, All About Me Science Flask, and they click on it, right now, that was a click event. And the TPT algorithm thinks this product is attractive. And if I add it to cart, that's a conversion event. And the moment you have 2 conversion events, or 20 click events, you get considered for this re-ranking. Now, this re-ranking happens once a day, and it is search phrase specific. So just because I clicked on this All About Me Science Flask for first day of school activities, it might get a little bit of a boost in re-ranking for the search phrase first day of school activities. But if I search up back to school activities, that activity that I clicked on doesn't get the boost. The re-ranking boost on one search phrase doesn't affect your re-ranking boost on any other search phrase. So here's where it gets interesting. The manual says that re-ranking promotes up to 20 items with the highest scores matching those criteria per query. So if it doesn't have enough information, then re-ranking doesn't kick in. But TPT can increase the number of records re-ranked per search query from the default of 20 to 100. So the most that this will impact is the first 4 pages of TPT search, because each page has 24 results, and product number 100 is at the top of page 5. But TPT also has this ability to make it so that new events, like new clicks or new conversion events, that they have a bigger impact on this re-ranking than older events that are 20 or 30 days away. Crazy, right? We can do all of this with Tpt SEO, but what matters if you're on page 1 is how attractive your product is. And that comes back to sales psychology. Have you learned something new? If you have, can you subscribe to the channel? This is the kind of stuff that we talk about. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly making mistakes. I'm constantly going back to the manual to try to learn more. I am completely baffled as to why when I search for activities plural, a resource that doesn't have activities plural in the title shows up in the #1 position. And the only thing I can think of right now is that activity and activity plural and activity singular is that activity singular is a synonym for activities, but there's a rule or a way that it's hard-coded into the system where it doesn't get highlighted. And now I have to go back to the manual and learn more about synonyms and manual setting up those words and why things are highlighted and is there ever a time when it's not highlighted? It's another mystery. It's another puzzle. But if you like learning about SEO and this stuff kind of makes you excited, definitely subscribe to the channel. Tpt SEO tip number 5 was about keyword research. If you had a brick and mortar business, would you rather have lots of customers or few customers? That's a silly question because of course we'd rather have lots of customers. Likewise, if you had a brick and mortar business, would you rather have no competition or lots of competition? And of course the answer is, oh, I'd rather have no competition. So if we put things together, the ideal situation is where you have lots of customers and no competition. And if we put that in terms of traffic search volume on TPT, we're looking to find keywords that have higher traffic search volume with lower competition. Now, a niche that has higher traffic and higher competition is probably elementary. There are more teachers looking for elementary resources on TPT, which is great. But then the challenge is there's a lot more competition and people say that the market is often oversaturated. On the other hand, for high school teachers, there's less competition, which is great, but there's also less demand on TPT for high school products. Nobody wants lower traffic with lots of competition. What we do want are keywords with more traffic and less competition. And that's what we're looking for when we do keyword research. We're looking for niche unicorns. So I'm going to walk us through 2 methods. I'm going to show us how to find niche unicorns by hand for free. And I'm going to show us how to find niche unicorns by using a computer using a paid tool. Free is great because you save money, but you're paying in time. Paid resources are great because you're saving time, but you're paying in money. So if we're doing keyword research by hand, grab a piece of paper, write the date on the page because keyword research is time dependent. Things change over time. Let's see. And then I'm going to make a table. I'm going to be looking up the keywords. Let's just draw some lines here. I want to know the search volume, which we call popularity. I want to know the number of competitors, and I want to know the number of reviews that the last resource on the first page has, because it gives me an idea of how many sales that page has. So I'll put here last resource, and I'm going to put here number of reviews. So I'm going to go to Teachers Pay Teachers. And when I go to the Teachers Pay Teachers website, I'm going to right click and I'm going to click on Inspect, which opens up the developer window. And on the developer window side, at the very top, it says Element, Console, Sources. I'm going to click on the arrows to find the option called Network. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to find the search volume popularity for keywords that I type into TPT. I'm going to start typing my keyword in the search bar. I'm not going to hit enter. I'm just typing in the keyword. And for example, I'm going to write 3rd grade morning work, but don't hit enter. Just type in the search phrase. And in the developer panel for network, I'm going to scroll down and I'm looking for the very last item that says Algolia, and it'll open up a tab. I want to make sure I click on response. And if I scroll up and down, and if I move this a little bit to the right-hand side, I can see the list of auto-suggested terms here. Here's 3rd grade morning work, 3RD, and it has the popularity number of 530. So I'm going to write that down on my page. 3rd grade morning work has a popularity of 530, and then I'm going to draw a line below that. All right, what is the next keyword that showed up in here? So I'm going to scroll down, and the next keyword I see is 3rd grade, spelled THIRD, 3rd grade morning work. So I'm going to write that down, 3rd grade morning work. And the popularity rank is 103. So I'm going to write here on my page, 103 searches in the last 30 days. or it could be 103,000 searches in the last 30 days. I don't know what the sense of scale is yet, but I do know it's the number of searches in the last 30 days. Let's draw a line. All right, I'm going to look for the third keyword, and the third keyword is third grade math morning work. All right, so let's write that down here. Grade work. And the search volume for this is 131. So I'll write here 131. 131 searches. How is that? What's the other one? 103. Wow, isn't that interesting? They're out of order. 530, 103, 131. Wow, that's so weird because I thought it sorted it by popularity. Man, TPT confuses me sometimes. All right, I'm going to draw a line here. I wonder if that's been boosted up because of re-ranking. Maybe more people are searching for third grade morning work. That could be it. The fourth keyword in this list is third grade math morning work with the number 3. So let's write that down. Third grade math morning work. And the popularity rank for this is 131. It's the same popularity rank. And at most, there are 5 auto-suggest terms. The last auto-suggest term here is third grade ELA morning work with a popularity rank of 59. So let's write that out. Third grade with the number 3, third grade ELA morning work. And the popularity search volume for this keyword is 59. So let's write 59. And I'm going to draw a row. So what we've done is we figured out how many people are searching for these keywords. And of course, at first glance, well, yeah, we should go after third grade morning work. But what we don't have yet is how much competition there is for those keywords. And that we can do just straight from the TPT website. We don't need to go into the developer panel for that. I'm going to close this developer panel. At the top here, I'm going to type in my first phrase, which is third grade morning work with the number 3. So third grade morning work, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, I like to view it not in grid mode, but I like to view it in the list view. Third grade morning work up here in the top hand corner, it says 31,000 results. So I'm going to write that down for my competition, 31,000 competitors. And if I scroll down to the bottom of page 1, this last resource has 812 reviews. So I'm going to write here 812. Okay, my next keyword is third grade morning work, spelled out third grade morning work. So let's hit enter on that. It has 30,000 competitors, so 30,000 results. And if I scroll down, the last resource has 281 reviews. At first glance, well, it's easier to rank for third grade morning work spelled out, but I would have to look at other reviews to get a sense of sales. If I have a math resource and it's sold a little bit and I have 300 reviews, well, then I'm going to go for third grade morning work instead of the number third grade morning work, because I have a better chance of being on the first page. Let's look at the third keyword, which is third grade math morning work. That has 16,000 results. So 16,000 competitors. And if I go to the bottom, 266 reviews. So I'm going right here, 266. Let's look up third grade math morning work with the number 3, 28,000 resources. So 28,000 competitors. And the last resource, how many times has it sold? 343 reviews. So let's write that down, 343 reviews. So between those two keywords, third grade spelled out has fewer competitors. It is easier to rank for third grade than the number 3RD, third grade. And finally, let's look up ELA morning work. So I go up to the top here and let's type in here, third grade ELA morning work. Hit enter to pull up the results. I get 15,000 results. So 15,000 results. And the number of reviews on the last one, 26. So the best resource with the fewer competitors right now is ELA morning work, but then the search volume is only 59 searches in the last 30 days. If I'm brand new, I'm looking for keywords that have around 3,000 resources when you search up the term. So I'm going to try to narrow down my competition by selecting some categories. I'm going to click on grade and I'm going to go to third grade, and I can see here that the filter has been set third grade. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to inspect to open up the developer panel. I'm going to click on the 2 arrows to go to network, and I'm going to look up that keyword third grade morning work with the number 3, third grade morning work. I'm going to click on the last Algolia line here. There's a lot of entries. The last one that has Algolia in it is here. So here we go. Third grade morning work has a competition of 530. So you can see here that the competition number, it doesn't matter what the grade level is set at. So I'm going to copy these keywords down. Let's copy this down. All right, so I copied my table down. The keyword for third grade morning work The popularity rank is 530. It's the same. The next one for third grade morning work is 103. It's the same. The next one for third grade math morning work is 131. It's the same. The next one for third grade ELA morning work is 59. Oh, interesting that the order swapped. 59. Oh, the keywords changed. All right. It's giving me a new keyword here. It's giving me morning work third grade. I guess I'll write that down. Morning work third grade with a keyword search term 473. All right. If I want to find out the popularity rank for this missing one third grade math morning work, I just have to type in that exact search phrase. So I'm going to type in here, let's close this developer panel just so I can see all of the search terms. And I'm going to type in here, third grade morning work. I'm going to scroll down in my network panel. I'm going to click the last one that has Algolia in it. And here we go. Third grade math morning work has 131. So you can see here that the popularity rank, it's 530 when I have it on the all category, and it's 530 for third grade morning work when I have the grade 3 category on. So the popularity rank is not dependent on the filters. It's just the search volume for the whole platform. But what does change is the number of resources when you search it up. So let's close this developer panel by clicking the X. Third grade morning work, I'm going to hit enter. And with the filter grade 3, I now have 28,000 results. So that's a little bit less than the 31,000 results that I got in the all category. Let's scroll down to the bottom. The last resource has 812 reviews. So that's the same. Let me fill out this table. Third grade morning work, 24,000. The last resource has 281 competitors. Looks like it's the same resource. Third grade math morning work, 15,000 competitors. The last resource has 266 reviews. So it's pulling up the same results. Third grade math morning work with the number 3 has 17,000 results, which is much lower than 28,000 results. And if I scroll down, the last resource has 343 reviews. Third grade ELA morning work has 18,000 reviews, which is more than the all category, which I find interesting. And if I scroll down to the bottom, it has 26 reviews. A new search term came up, which was morning work third grade. So let's look that up right now. Morning work third grade, hit enter. 28,000 results, and the last resource has 182. All right, so how do I find niche unicorns? I kind of look for resources that have low competitors. Is that really 81? That can't be 81. Third grade morning work? That's right. It must be 812, and I just wrote it poorly. Let's look that up again. Third grade morning work. And if I scroll down to the bottom, yeah, the number of competitors is 812. So I missed the number when I was writing it down, 812. The lowest competitors, 26 is the lowest one, third grade ELA morning work. And the best volume is this 530 searches in the last 30 days. So third grade morning work is high volume, high competition. And the third grade ELA morning work is low volume, low competition. So I wasn't able to find a niche unicorn, which brings me back to why are they called unicorns? Because high volume, low competition keywords are mythical, fantastic beasts that we're looking for. They do exist, but they can be really hard to find. So now what it comes down to is I have to figure out if it's a brand new resource, then my best chance is this category with 26 reviews on the last resource. I would have to add more keywords like fun, third grade ELA morning work to see if I can narrow it down to a lower competition. So let's play with that right now. Let's see if we can narrow it down. What if I type fun? All right, so I'm going to try to find the popularity rank for fun third grade ELA morning work. Open up the inspect developer tool panel. I'm going to go to the network panel, and in the search term, I'm going to type fun third grade ELA morning work. And I'm going to click on the last Algolia term that shows up in here. So you'll notice here that the resources it pulled up was third grade ELA morning work third grade, fun morning work third grade morning work, and third grade morning work. Fun third grade ELA morning work, it's blank. Why is it blank? It's because it has a popularity rank lower than 20. If it's lower than 20, it doesn't show up in search. So I don't know what the popularity rank is of that. And that's why there are some search terms that when you look up on TPT, all of the keyword tools work the same and they'll return no response because TPT itself is giving us no response. But in a week, in 2 weeks, if fun third grade ELA morning work hits a popularity of 20, then it'll show up on the website. So I wasn't able to find a niche unicorn this time, but that makes sense because unicorns are rare. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about manually finding the popularity score for these keywords. Let's try to do some keyword research now using the keyword research tool in the SEOTpreneur Pro community. here's my spreadsheet tool. And the keyword section, I'm going to type third grade morning work with the number 3. And I'm going to hit enter. And it's just connected to the TPT website. And I can see third grade morning work has a popularity search volume of 530. Here's third grade morning work spelled out, 103. Third grade morning work, 131. So that matches here. Third grade ELA morning work, 59. And that's number 3. And then now it's showing morning work third grade, and that's 473. And then it pulls up the number of competitors on that first page. So third grade morning work at the top here, 3RD. I can see right now it has 30,000 resources, and there's some fluctuation every time you look at the database. And the bottom resource on that first page has 812. The first resource has only 425 reviews. If you took the number of reviews for each resource on that page and then figured out the average number of reviews, you would get the number 983 reviews. So a resource on that first page has an average of 983 reviews. It gives you a sense of scale in terms of how much those resources have sold. And then you're thinking about the kind of resource you have. How many times has it sold? Can you compete? Something neat about this is it highlights and colors your best options. So the best popularity up here is 530. And then 473 is the next one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to copy that, Control C. I'm going to go to my research page. I'm going to click in this yellow section and I'm going to go Control Shift V, which pastes it in without formatting. And up here, I can see it says the grade level is all. Okay, I'm going to go back to my high volume, low competition finder. This time, I'm going to change the grade to third grade. It's connecting to the internet. It's going to the TPT website, and it's pulled up some results here. Every time it calls to the database, sometimes that number changes. It could change because TPT is doing A/B testing. Sometimes when you use TPT search, you're using the search algorithm version A. Sometimes you're using the search algorithm version B. And TPT is constantly running these A/B tests to figure out which one produces the best results. And then if version B does the best results, then they keep on using version B. And now they run version B and they test it against version C. And each of these has a slightly different mix of settings, because the end goal is to try to find the best search engine algorithm that gives teachers searching for resources what they need, resulting in sales. So I'm going to copy these 5 rows. Let's just copy that, Control C to copy that. I'm going to go into my research page, and then in the next available blank line, I'm going to click in there and go Control Shift V. And so now these are my results for third grade. Now, this is the tool that I actually use for my research, and I have some numbers in here that are confusing it. So I'm just going to delete all those numbers, and boom, we're done. So I can see here the best popularity rank based on the research so far is 530 searches in the last 30 days for third grade morning work with the number 3. The best number of resources, which means the fewest number of resources, is third grade math morning work, 16,000. And the ones with the lowest reviews are third grade ELA morning work, because those have less sales. A niche unicorn would be one that has color in the popularity rank, and then also some color for the number of resources and the number of reviews. And we can see in this case, yeah, there's no niche unicorn. The best that we can do is find a search term that has the fewest number of competitors in terms of reviews. Because even though third grade math morning work has 16,000 competitors compared with ELA morning work, which has 23,000, you might think, okay, I should go for math work because there's fewer competitors. But the competitors on that first page have more reviews. There's 343 reviews at the bottom, which means they've sold more. Whereas third grade ELA morning work has only 26 sales or 26 reviews on the bottom resource, which means it's easier to compete for that keyword. Have you learned something new? If you have, can you please share this video with other TPT sellers? The challenge with TPT is you can have the best resource in the world. If no one knows about it, no one can buy it. And part of TPT SEO is helping your awesome resource get visible to more teachers. And doing the keyword research helps us think of terms that teachers might be searching for that we wouldn't have named our product right away initially. I have an awesome set of lessons where students look at a text message on a handout and they try to figure out what's going on, who's speaking, who's talking, and what's the story. And it rarely sells. This is an example of something where I probably need to work on TPT SEO, because for the longest time, I was just calling it critical thinking text message puzzles. But the kind of teacher who wants this resource, they're looking for inferring resources. Part of the game is finding the search terms that teachers are using that your product relates to. And that's what keyword research helps us to do. Mike, have you done this with all of your resources? No, absolutely not. I've been spending time making tools. But my success or my failure with this tool when I use it myself doesn't mean that you're going to get the same results, because you're looking up different keywords and your niche is different. So if you learned something new today, please share this video with other TPT sellers in the community. If you have any questions or ideas, or if you disagree with anything I've said, leave a comment. Let's have a conversation, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye now.